Chapter 6. Time, times and a half. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto the heaven, and sware by him that liveth for ever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. Daniel 12, 6 and 7. At one of my lectures given in Los Angeles on the subject of the hidden meaning behind the stories of the Bible, someone asked me to interpret the above quotation from the book of Daniel. After I confessed I did not know the meaning of that particular passage, a lady in the audience said to herself, if the mind behaves according to the assumption with which it starts, then I will find the true answer to that question and tell it to Neville. And this is what she told me. Last night, the question was asked, what is the meaning of time, times and a half, as recorded in Daniel 12:7? Before going to sleep last night, I said to myself, now there is a simple answer to this question, so I will assume that I know it, and while I'm sleeping, my greater self will find the answer and reveal it to my lesser self in dream or vision. Around 5 a.m., I awakened. It was too early to rise, so remaining in bed, I quickly fell into that half-dreamy state between waking and sleeping. And while in that state, a picture came into my mind of an old lady. She was sitting in a rocking chair and rocking back and forth, back and forth. Then a voice, which sounded like your voice, said to me, do it over and over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality. I jumped out of bed and reread the 12th chapter of Daniel, and this is the intuitive answer I received. Taking the 6th and the 7th verses, for they constituted last night's question, I felt that if the garments with which the biblical characters are clothed correspond to their level of consciousness, as you teach, then linen must represent a very high level of consciousness indeed. For the man clothed in linen was standing upon the waters of the river. And if, as you teach, water symbolizes a high level of psychological truth, then the individual who could walk upon it must truly represent an exalted state of consciousness. I therefore felt that what he had to say must indeed be very significant. Now the question asked of him was, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And his answer was, a time, times and a half. Remembering my vision of the old lady rocking back and forth, and your voice telling me to do it over and over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality, and remembering that this vision and your instruction came to me in response to my assumption that I knew the answer, I intuitively felt that the question asked the man clothed in linen meant how long shall it be until the wonderful dreams that I am dreaming become a reality? And his answer is, do it over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality. A time means to perform the imaginary action which implies the fulfillment of the wish. Times means to repeat the imaginary action over and over again. And an half means the moment of falling asleep while performing the imaginary action, for such a moment usually arrives before the predetermined action is completed, and therefore can be said to be a half or part of a time. Wow! To get such inner understanding of the scriptures by the simple assumption that she did know the answer was a wonderful experience for this woman. However, to know the true meaning of time, times and a half, she must apply her understanding in her daily life. We are never at a loss in an opportunity to test this understanding, either for ourselves or for another. A number of years ago, a woman living in the same apartment house as we came to see me about her cat. The cat was her constant companion and dear to her heart. He was, however, 8 years old, very ill and in great pain. He had not eaten for days and would not move from under her bed. 2 veterinarians had seen the cat and advised the woman that the cat could not be cured and that he should be put to sleep immediately. I suggested that night before retiring she create in her imagination some action that would indicate the cat was its former healthy self. I advised her to do it over and over again until it took on the tones of reality. This she promised to do. However, either from lack of faith in my advice or from lack of faith in her own ability to carry out the imaginary action, she asked her niece to spend the night with her. The request was made so that if the cat were not well by morning, the niece could take it to the veterinarians and she, the owner, would not have to face such a dreaded task herself. That night, she settled herself in an easy chair and began to imagine the cat was romping beside her, scratching at the furniture and doing many things she would not normally have allowed. Each time she found that her mind had wandered from its predetermined task to see a normal, healthy, frisky cat, she brought her attention back to the room and started her imaginary action over again. This she did over and over again until finally, in a feeling of relief, she dropped off to sleep, still seated in her chair. About 4 o'clock in the morning, she was awakened by the cry of her cat. He was standing by her chair, and after attracting her attention, he led her to the kitchen where he begged for food. She fixed him a little warm milk which he quickly drank and cried for more. The cat lived comfortably for 5 more years, when, without pain or illness, he died naturally in his sleep. How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? A time, times, and an half. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instructions. Job 33:15 and 16.